This is Off Track.
Gross.
Way worse than DC.
Well, God, it's just terrible. It's awful.
Why would you do that to yourself?
It tastes like river water, carbonated river water.
How would you know what river water tastes like?
Because I've been in Geist a lot.
Fair. Touche.
What was I going to say? Because it's the only free sodas available here. So
that makes me so upset. I'm going to go grab a Diet Coke.
Literally, beggars can't be choosers.
Okay, so it's the only free Diet Pop where you are. Where are you?
I am in a hotel lounge in San Francisco, James.
In a hotel lounge? Why aren't you in a hotel room?
Because it's too early to check in. We've had this conversation. I feel like even though they have rooms available, the 4 people in front of me, they checked in. And then I got there and smiled and was like, hi. She's like, oh, yeah, it'll be 4 o'clock. Sweet.
This happens to you a lot, I feel like.
Always. I was literally just telling my dad, I don't think I've ever... I can't remember the last time I was allowed to check into a room before 4 p.m.
That's strange, man. I feel like I get pretty lucky with that. I feel like I've definitely, like, even if it's 50% of the time, that's not bad.
Oh, dude, I'm 0% of the time.
That's crazy.
And it's a Monday. Like, come on, you ain't full.
Yeah, it feels like they're just doing that to exert some power over you.
Which is weird, considering I do have quite a lot of status.
That's like early check-in. Yeah, I feel like you've been flagged. I feel like you did something to some room and you've been flagged at all Bonvoy properties or something.
I don't think I've done anything to a room, but I
don't know. I can see it just based on how we've traveled in the past. We've probably
First of all, Tim, those were Hilton and Hyatt properties. Very different.
I'm just thinking about Texas.
And mostly it's you.
Yeah, but they don't know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't get there and clean the room after and be like, this must have been his friend.
Right.
No, they would have been like, we saw the 2 of them checking in. It definitely was the other one.
Yeah.
Why? I have a question about hotels while we're talking about travel. How come like so many hotels put the hairdryer into a bag? Why are hair dryers bagged everywhere? Not everywhere, but like a lot of places.
Probably because it looks more
like if it's
easier
in a
to throw it in the
anyway.
bathtub, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, if it's not plugged in, that's just a waste of a hairdryer. So you got to take it out of the bag anyway.
I don't know.
Seems weird, right?
Yeah. Why are you messing around with hairdryers, James?
No, I'm not. But I just noticed it. Like I just the other day, my hotel in
Portland.
Thank you.
Or Hungary.
Oh my God, no, it was Portland.
I don't know that Europe does free blow dryers. Probably have to pay like €5 to rent one.
But yeah, I just saw it sitting there and I was like, why is it in a bag? And then sometimes it's like in a bag that even has hairdryer written on it in case someone's going to another country where they don't just keep their hairdryers in bags. They'd be like, oh, that's where the hairdryer is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you see them when they're like built
so why don't they do different languages?
Well, that's just it. If you're not from here and you don't naturally know that that's
you're Japanese, you're hosed.
What if you don't speak English
well enough? I'm not going to open this weird soft black bag.
Correct.
I know. I feel like if I was in a country where I didn't speak the language, I'd go rifling through everything just out of curiosity.
What would you do when you got to the Bible?
Well, other than read it cover to cover like I do every night.
Right.
Tim, do you blow dry your hair or does you just let that air dry? Does it take a full day?
This is going to sound really bad, but like I've just now started putting stuff in my hair after I shower.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
35 years of not doing
that. Usually it looks horrible.
I didn't think you were doing it now. It hasn't changed the look if that makes you feel worse.
Today.
I don't know. It's got some more shine and texture to it than usual.
But so sorry, you didn't answer the question though. Do you blow dry your hair or do you just air dry it?
Just air dry it. Well, I mean, a towel and then air dry. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got so much of it. I wasn't sure if you needed like outside assistance.
It takes a while.
While we're on the topic of hair and hair lube.
Lube.
I thought this was just James getting around to asking me for some.
No, does
some hair.
If girls get extensions, that hair is dead, right?
Yeah, it's like What do you mean dead?
Well, it's not. It's no longer attached to a living organism.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how does it stay looking alive? Because like
So
if I were to cut a leaf off my plant, it wouldn't stay green.
Right. So leaves
But if
and
you
hair
cut
are
hair,
not the same.
hair doesn't lose its color, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not just sitting there.
No, but it's getting some
kind
form
of nutrient or something.
nutrient from the
Yeah.
body. That's how it grows. Yes.
When it grows
but I
from
mean,
here.
it grows from here out, so it's like
Right.
pushing something new out.
You gotta
I don't
think
think
of-
it's like
Sure.
You got to think of hair like fingernails, right?
Yeah.
Clip off your fingernail, it looks the same as when it was attached. It's just
It doesn't. It gets yellow and grows.
Does it? I've never
Yeah.
kept fingernail clippings around long enough to
It
know
definitely
that.
does. It gets smaller and yellow and
But
more
dude, like this
brittle.
is why like they've got locks of people's hair from like 500
No,
years
so
ago.
I
Like,
guess-
hair
no,
doesn't.
Right. That's a great point. I was just wondering if like you were to get hair extensions,
Mhm.
do you need like some sort of vitamin serum lube ointment to keep it like
I don't
healthy.
think so.
no.
I
I
don't
think you would
think
just
so.
like because
All right.
you're already using like shampoo and conditioner on your regular hair.
here's how this thought came up. I
That
just
was going to
flew.
be my follow up.
I just flew. I literally was on a plane under an hour ago. And the lady sitting
Same.
next to me most definitely had hair extensions because not only
Yeah.
was her hair all over my shoulders, but her legs were also in my side of the little
Yeah.
foot cubby thing.
Yeah, you sent a
She
picture. I'm going to include it right now,
yeah.
just so people
Yeah.
watch
had
on
some,
YouTube.
she had some
can see.
boundary issues.
Oh, and not only was her hair on me and her leg in my space, but like at least she also took up both armrests. And she
Good.
wasn't
Well,
like this wasn't.
Was she
this
in the
wasn't-
middle?
She was in the middle.
Yes,
Then those are her armrests.
that's
You get both
fine,
armrests.
but that's not. It's not her shoulder and it's not her foot.
That's
Her
fair.
footwell. The fact that her leg
Yeah.
was in your footwell is just mind
That was
blowing to me.
that was insane. That was insane.
And I went over to like wake her up, and she was sleep mask on, passed out. And this wasn't like a
Respect.
giant. This wasn't a huge person. This was a normal sized human being. It's not like
Yeah.
she was 7 feet tall and like, okay, you could have some sympathy. Like this was just, it's a normal 5'7" lady. Anyways, so with very long hair.
So okay,
And then my favorite part of it,
you couldn't wake her up?
I wasn't going to wake her up. It was a
Oh,
2-hour flight.
100% would have woken her up.
So my favorite part was we land and the seatbelt sign comes off and she gets up and climbs over the
No.
person sitting on the aisle.
No.
Like no one has gotten up.
Is
Like
this was
people
this
just getting up. Yeah. Oh,
was
yeah.
this the person's first day in public?
Was
Was
she
this like
grow,
one of
did
those
she grow up in
situations where
the
she was-
jungle? Is she
Yeah,
I don't know.
raised by wolves.
Yeah.
has she
Also-
ever been assimilated into society?
Also, well, maybe not because also I was on the window seat and I had the shade open and she wanted to take pictures.
On an
which
early
was
morning
great.
flight?
That was 11 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
It's
fair.
midday. It's
Yeah,
perfectly
no, it's
okay
totally
to have the shade open. Yeah.
I think we should make it more normal to have windows open on
And
midday
she
flights.
she was leaning over me to get her phone on the window to take
Did she
pictures.
ask first?
No,
This is either my least favorite or my absolute favorite person, and I can't decide yet.
I am
don't-
very clear on which one that is for me.
No,
Very
no, no.
clear.
I'm like leaning real hard towards least favorite person, but I kind of want to meet her because I also just want to meet somebody like that, unencumbered by the thoughts of others. Where it's like she's just like, oh, I don't really give a
It
about
does
any
seem
of
freeing in
society's
a way.
rules.
It
Yeah.
seems freeing in a way, but it also seems like a really good way to get stabbed at some point.
Yeah, I feel like she just if she needs to take a somewhere, she just lets it out. She just doesn't. She doesn't need to follow any of society's
Okay.
rules, and I
That's where we
respect
went.
that.
We went
that's a
all the way
big
there.
step. It's a
Yeah.
big step.
That's a large leap.
She's climbing over you. She's in your footwell. I mean,
She's
I don't know.
climbing over me.
in public. I don't think that's
Laws
I don't
don't
think it's a
apply to this
linear.
person. That is the logical next step.
That is no. There's
That is where you go. From
I mean,
No,
to be
I would
fair,
say
we did
eating
come to
off-
San Francisco. We did come to San Francisco, so maybe Tim has a point.
There is normally a lot of human poop on the sidewalk in San
Yeah.
Francisco. That's true.
like more than there should be given the size of the city and the population. Yeah.
Now, on the topic of human feces on sidewalks, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Portland has actually really cleaned its act up quite a bit.
Interesting, because I disagree completely.
Yeah, I know you said that because you got out there earlier than I did, and you sent us a text that you were getting harassed by somebody, something in a state of
a guy.
influence, shall we
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
But we stayed downtown, and dude, I got to say, from my 4 days or whatever there, I saw way less open crack smoking on the sidewalk.
That's interesting because me and Brian Simpson, our buddy, thought it was exponentially worse than last year.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow, they must have all just like recongregated in a different area or something.
Potentially.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I don't know where you guys were staying in relation to where we were staying, but yeah, we all made the note that it was like surprisingly clean and
Horrible.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Felt like it
I didn't
digressed.
see
Yeah.
a single intravenous needle. I didn't
Oh.
see a single person, lighting up a pipe. I saw a couple people that looked like, yeah, they didn't have a super comfy bed to sleep in, but
Hey, Brian saw a guy die on the street.
excuse me,
Brian saw a guy die on the street.
this weekend.
Yeah.
I spent most of last night with Brian. What happened?
I don't know.
Well, he
I
killed
mean,
him.
I don't know that he died or so much as passed out on the street. But
Fair.
anyways.
So
yes.
he was just walking and stopped walking, or was laying and stopped breathing, or
No,
what?
he was using substances and then passed out.
Oh yeah,
or-
he was just having a great time.
Right. Anyways. We don't need to talk about that anymore.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did want to have that conversation though, because I remember what you had said in your text, and then I was like, man, it was nicer where we were, but
Well, we should recap what everybody wants to hear about. I saw Jurassic Park on Friday. It's still
was
good.
bad
is
as
there
I'm
a new
expecting.
one or the original?
No, sorry. I saw the original on Friday.
Oh.
Got it.
It was
Is there a
still
new one
really
out?
good.
Yeah, there's a new
Yeah, there is.
Jurassic
I'm not gonna
World.
see that.
Looks terrible.
I just hate that they're taking these movie franchises and just literally squeezing every ounce of life out of them. Like it makes me not even
Yeah,
like the original.
I think there were like 6 Tarzan movies in the 1920s. Like we've always been doing this. It's more noticeable now.
That's because that was the only idea in the 1920s. How about the fact that F1 became the highest grossing sports movie in movie
Sports
history?
film of all time.
Yeah.
Now look, there's
Adjusted for
obviously
inflation.
no, of course not.
Huh?
I was going to say there's always caveats to that, right? There's
Okay,
more
but
population now.
it beat
and-
Cars 2. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
which was
I'm
not
just
that
saying,
long
like,
ago.
it's easy now for it to be like it made more in theaters when like the average ticket price now is like $26.
okay,
Right.
Tim, but there's new movies that come
It's-
out all the time, and they're not
Right.
winning the most gross
It's
movies.
still
True.
impressive.
I was just saying it's probably not the highest grossing sports movie of all time, adjusted for inflation.
It's Brad Pitt's highest grossing movie.
I bet you're completely wrong. What do you think is higher? Air Bud?
Probably.
Maybe
That movie's
Cars 2.
great. There's nothing in
so-
the F1 handbook that says a dog can't have a super license as long as he's not American.
As long as he doesn't race IndyCar. Well, you look that up, Tim. Wait, what were we just talking about? Oh yeah, it was
Movies.
Brad Pitt's highest grossing film of all time.
I mean,
Which is
that's crazy when you think about that. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Like some of the movies, I mean, Ocean's 11.
Rocky.
Like, let's just talk about that.
When adjusted for inflation, Rocky from 1976 is the highest grossing sports movie of all time.
But wait, when was that report done? Because this just happened like last week.
You need to ask the robots. Don't Google.
Yeah.
You need to ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, you're looking it up in
Google
an
it, it's AI
encyclopedia.
now. I get there's like everybody who's like, oh, I'm not going to use AI because of like ethical reasons, which there's like some pretty strong arguments, but it's impossible to not use AI.
You're using it.
like
you just
even when
don't
you
realize
Google
it.
stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's called Gemini.
What's Gemini?
Google's ChatGPT.
Oh,
You know
I
when
think
you
it just
Google something
automatically
now?
pops up and it says,
Yeah,
it says,
it's-
yeah.
yeah.
That's Gemini. Old Gemini
Gemini.
cricket.
Oh man. Okay, they're counting some real interesting stuff on the Wikipedia page as sports movie. They're saying Inside Out 2 is a sports movie. That's not.
Okay.
Forrest Gump is not a
Relax.
sports movie.
No. He did play football and ping pong.
And run.
It's
No.
counting all of the Fast and the Furious movies as sports movies.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay, you can stop.
Stop. Yeah, dumb.
Either way,
thought the
F1's
robots
killing
were
it.
smarter.
F1's doing
Yeah.
well for itself. We can
Yeah.
all agree on that.
Like, let's be honest. I bet F1 would also get bumped for the CFL of golf.
No. Hang on. Okay. So now we're in Portland and
Big Fox guy coming out to defend.
Big Fox
Fox.
guy coming out to explain television. When you're doing live sports, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything can go long. Soccer games go long, football games go long, pretend golf goes long, racing goes long, right? If we were before Live Golf and we had, 13 cautions because of turn 1 at Portland, and the race took 26 minutes longer than our scheduled network window, guess what? You would end up watching golf 26 minutes later. That's just kind of how it works. Like, in some cases, there are opportunities to bounce things to different networks, but you had a 3-way playoff, like an exciting end to something. They weren't going to take that off of the network to miss the start.
That's
Or
completely
to catch
fair.
the start.
That's fine.
And the other thing that I want to throw out there is IndyCar deserves a ton of credit because we actually delayed the start of the race in person, the start time at the track, even for all the fans that were there, to help accommodate coming on air late. So that way we could try to get the start on television. So credit to IndyCar for getting that done. Fox did what every network does when you're dealing with live sports. These things just happen. So the start was still on TV. It was just on a different channel. Then we switched over to the main channel for what ended up being a pretty exciting end to a race.
How does it make you feel? You kind of just brought this up in your explanation. How does it make you feel that ever since you stopped racing IndyCar, we have no issue getting through turn 1?
Oh, it's not
It
great.
kind of feels like maybe you were the problem.
No, I feel like you were probably the issue.
Yeah.
Yes, the data would suggest that is a thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I am just
So why
going
were
to
you so bad at turn 1?
Yeah,
Well,
it's a pretty straightforward corner.
It feels like
So
just
one of the
turn.
things that we do here at Portland is always play replays and packages of replays of crashes in turn 1 to highlight the potential. Right.
Yeah.
And one of the ones they love showing is 2021, which
I mean, you did
is a
break
great
pretty
example of what's that?
You broke pretty early.
Dude, I was in the middle of the corner when Grosjean came from
I
400
know.
meters back, completely out of control,
Well, maybe if
and
you had broken
wiped me out.
400 meters later, it would
I
have been
would
fine.
also have not made the corner.
Yeah, but
only
you
one
would
way
have
to
gotten
find
hit.
out.
I still didn't, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll never forget the one that got me the most was actually in 2019. Because 2018 was the year I think that I ended up. No, hang on.
Was 18
One
the
of the-
year Dixon was in the dust cloud with
Yeah,
Marco?
I think it was because he won the championship that year. So yeah, so 2018, that one was like I made it to turn 3, and then Veach and I got
Yeah.
together and caused that whole thing. But the next year, 19, yeah, because we didn't go in 20. So in 19, I'll never forget. I qualified, I don't know, 8-ish or something like that, and I was just so hell bent on getting through turn 1 because I was so mad about the year before. And I'm driving around, and I look, and dude, I'm not kidding. I had 5 car lengths in front of me. I had 5 car lengths behind me. Somehow it was like an early start and I just happened to be all alone on an island. And I was like, thank God, at least I can get through turn 1. And I hit the brakes. And sure enough, I think it was Graham fired Veach into me mid-corner and won again. And I was just like, how did I get hit? How did I get hit when there was nobody anywhere near me? And you watch the replay, Graham's like right sides on the white line and just misses it completely. Just
Again, I
domino.
think if you broke later,
To me, Alex, that sounds like it was James's fault. Is that
Honestly,
is that how you
yeah.
read it as a racing expert?
there's a lot of things he could have done different. He could have not turned.
I could have just
not
gone
been there.
straight through.
He could have broken later. And speaking of not turning and breaking later, it's a pretty good segue into some drama that went on during the Portland race.
Yeah, a lot of not turning going on there.
Or breaking.
So we're just done
Well,
talking about Jurassic Park.
What's your favorite character in Jurassic Park?
All of
The
them.
dinosaur.
Oh, it's got to be Jeff Goldblum. It's got to be Jeff Goldblum.
I just love, and I was kidding about talking about Jurassic Park, but now I will. I just love that multiple times in the 80s and 90s, there were film executives that had to say, get me the raw sex appeal of Jeff Goldblum. And like, it worked.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure that's the line they went with, but we'll never know.
Are you kidding me? When he's got his shirt open and he's just kind of like laying there like that. Off.
So you can tell we're recording early in the week because Tim is swearing a lot because he knows he's got time to edit.
I got time.
Yeah, nothing but time. All right, let's do our usual format here of Alex. You tell us about how your day went because it was a weekend and because it was a good weekend.
It was good. It was much needed after a very hard July and some of June. But it just goes to highlight like how straightforward your life can be versus how hellish your life can be when like you start the weekend and the car is in a good window and it's just like it's pretty easy to drive and it's predictable and it does most things well and you kind of are just having to tune on little things here and there, but like in general you know what you have, right? And so as conditions change, which, you're always going to get on IndyCar weekends, but especially in Portland, it officially was the hottest Portland GP on record at 97 degrees. Historically, this is a track that is, the 63 to 72 degree type temp. Friday wasn't that warm. It was sunny, but it wasn't that warm. Saturday morning was pretty cool still, qualifying heated up. So I guess my point with all that is like, even as conditions are changing pretty drastically, like the car didn't really change. It was just the same. Like your lap time might be scaled differently depending on the ultimate performance that was available, but like the balance wasn't swapping ends on you and everything. So, that was really cool. I didn't really do a great lap in round 2. And so we missed transferring by 100th, which was a little disappointing because I do think we had a pretty good shot at the front row, maybe top 3-ish. I thought our single lap pace was pretty good. What it did mean though was with Christian Lundgaard's engine penalty, I started 6th anyways, and I actually had an extra set of the alternate tire. We knew it was going to be an alternate tire race. Qualifying was successful. We knew that it was an alternate race, so we knew that we wanted to start on primes. 85% of the grid started on primes, so a lot of people were kind of thinking the same thing. And the race was fairly straightforward, except for, as always in Portland, there's always enough incidents that seem to happen that make it go between in this case, a 4-stop and a 3-stop, but really a 2-stop and a 3-stop, if you take out the fake stops under yellow. And so we opted for the same strategy as most of the guys there was in front of us. So it was myself, Lundgaard, Pato, Felix, Malukas, Dixon. We all kind of took the Connor yellow. And we knew that we could get home on 2 more from there. There were some other guys that stayed out, Pelot, Power, some other guys had taken the first yellow, but ultimately what it meant was there was cars that were having to save to do it on 2 more, and there was cars that were kind of flat out through the whole race. I don't think there was one clear strategy that was better than the other, as you saw. I mean, you had the top 3 cars were all on a slightly different strategy, and they all finished on top of each other. So I thought it was a cool race from that standpoint. And we finished 5th. So the best result of the year. It's really annoying that it took until basically 3 to go to get something like that, because we've been in position for that for a while. But like I said, it was just a nice bounce back and good morale boost for the team.
I bet Ed took all the credit because he was the strategist on the 20 car for the first time this weekend, and
he was
strategery type race.
Yeah. No, he called a great race. For those that don't know, Ed took over those duties from Tim Broyles for no reason other than we're getting towards the end of the year. The off season is fast approaching. There's not many races left. We're in a critical time in terms of trying to grow the organization, trying to hire people, trying to really get aggressive on that front. So it was better suited for Tim, who's ultimately the president of ECR, to be focused on that. Also have more of an oversight on both cars throughout the weekend to identify strengths and weaknesses. Because as you can imagine, if you're just on one car for the weekend, like you've got tunnel vision on the 20 car, you don't really know what's going on the other side of the garage. So this is not a permanent kind of solution, but at least for the end of the year, it's what's happening going forward is Ed's on my car, which obviously is pretty plug and play considering the relationship him and I already have.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty seamless to transition to that.
Very easy.
So is it a really, I know you said it's a morale booster to kind of get that first top 5 of the season, but is it more like from your side, is it relief, or is it still kind of like a little bit of frustration because it's like, yeah, no, we got it, but like, I don't want to celebrate this too much because we've been in positions to do it. It just hasn't happened.
Neither. For me, neither.
Okay.
I think it's just for the organization. Like we haven't had good results on paper. We've had good races going. But before this, like our best result was 8th, and that was in thermal, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right. So
feels like a different season.
Right. So we've had races going where, we thought was going to be in contention for podium, thought, the 500, we were in contention for more than that. Plenty of races where we were in contention for, top 5, top 6, and nothing ever came of it. So I think it's just, especially when it's you are with the team for the first time or for the first year, there's a little bit of like, everyone's like, we can still do this. Right.
Right.
I think it's that sort of thing. So I guess relief is a fair word, but from my side, it's more just like it was, and it's so often we talk about it, like it was the first complete weekend we've had. Just everything went smoothly from start to finish. There was no glaring errors or issues or whatever. And it just was, the car started off in a good spot. We executed in qualifying despite kind of a red flag coming out. We chose the right strategy in the race, or at least the right strategy for us in the race. Pit stops were great. We beat the 9 car out. Just everything was firing on all cylinders.
Yes, you bring up Dixon. I was going to say, it was, for me watching, it was a really impressive run because you and Dixie were on the same strategy, which ultimately ended up meaning you guys had to do a little bit more fuel saving than some of the other guys. And in the pits, the team performed, and on track, you kind of out Dixie, right? That's his bread and butter, is those races where you got to keep the pace up and save fuel. And that's usually when he's able to make a lot of headway, but you stayed in front of him. I mean, the entire race, you kind of had him on your gearbox until he got his penalty. So that must be kind of a relief because, we do talk about how it seems like Honda's got a bit of a mileage advantage, but you stayed in front of him pace wise, pitted on the same lap. So it was really strong.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you got to know that's great. That's
back it up.
Well, no, it's more, in video games where there's varying levels of bosses.
Yeah.
Okay, so we beat this one boss.
Right.
But then there's the big giant boss.
Right. Then
it's going to take you, right. It's going to take you many attempts to beat.
Yeah, so a lot of reset buttons required.
Like I said, it was a good day. Happy for the team, and we will take some positivity going into Milwaukee and Nashville, where I know we'll be strong. So,
from an outsider, one of the relationships that's always interesting to me is between the driver and whoever's on their radio. So having a relationship with Ed that goes back years now and is outside of racing. Was there anything unexpected having him call a race, or was it just?
No, because here's the thing: we talk on the radio with each other, in an airplane as much as we do.
Got it.
Not on a radio. So like, no, no.
It just
There
felt
was
it
nothing.
was completely locked in. Because I don't know. It's always interesting to me because like I give a driver as much leeway as possible for any of the stuff they say on the radio during a race. Because I've never been in that situation. I don't
Good thing you don't work from McLaren.
adrenaline flying and things like that. Yeah, exactly. So like, but also you're one of the calmest people on the radio if I'm like listening in on stuff. So I guess it's less of an issue for you. But I would make me nervous if it was like my friend, my boss, and all this different
Doesn't
stuff.
matter.
Alex didn't
It's
care about
easy.
that. My bigger thing is I would love to have heard that at some point one of you ended a radio transmission with like November 8-5, Mike.
That would have been hilarious.
You
Should've
guys
done
just
that.
talk to each other and ending every combination with your tail number.
Well, we kept. So he always says like Roger, and I always say copy.
Yeah.
Like in the airplane, and during the race we were alternating back and forth. So he would say copy, and I'd say Roger, and then he'd switch to Roger, and I'd say copy. So we were kind of digging with each other a little bit.
And then there's someone who chucks in a random 10-4 or
Right? Yeah.
affirmative.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. So the race itself, we'll get to the end because that was the exciting bit. But Santino's accident on like the first lap was kind of strange. I don't know if you saw the replay of that, Alex. He like got loose off the last corner, but he just stayed buried in it. And I assume he was maybe trying to spin it around kind of once he was going. But it was, when you watch the onboard, it's like he has a moment, which often happens coming onto the front straight of Portland, but just didn't crack the throttle. I don't know if he was trying to drive out of it or like had already felt like he lost it and was trying to bury it and spin it around. It sounded kind of weird, but that was a big hit on a concrete. And, he was lucky he wasn't a couple feet earlier. It would have been right in the end of the attenuator, and that would have been a much more uncomfortable incident. And then the 21 and the 76, Raz and Connor started a little lap and a half.
We like to call that a swinging contest.
Yes, that is pretty accurate. So first incident, at least that we saw on TV, was the turn 7 one. Thoughts, questions, concerns on that one?
Yeah, teammate and friend. Here's what I will say is reality, and it's understandable, I guess. But Connor and Renus both race Christian and I really hard,
Connor
and it's obvious.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, understood.
And so there is some like unspoken tension that exists, and it's even like during practice.
Yeah.
Like whenever you come out with one of those cars, you're like, great, right? Not because I have nothing against Renus or Connor.
Yeah.
Renus and Connor, and they don't have anything against me or Christian. Well,
right.
Connor might now, but they both have something pretty severely against the organization.
Yeah.
So I will say that. So the fact that this incident happened doesn't really surprise me, just based on that. The turn 7 situation is a tough one because Christian's car doesn't have an onboard for Fox, but there's team onboards, right? And what happened to him was a very similar situation to what happened with Grosjean and I in Mid-Ohio, for those of you that remember that whole shindig, right? And it stems from, and we've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast, it stems from the fact that ultimately in IndyCar, you are allowed to kind of open your hands and run the car out. That's the precedent that's been set. We don't need to get into the rhyme or reason as to how we got there. What happened in this case with Christian is his front left tire hit in a kind of a weird angle to Connor's side pod and stuff, and it ripped the wheel out of his hands. So the overhead shot of you seeing Christian drive Connor out while taking himself off the racetrack wasn't an intentional move. Like he wasn't turning into him out there. His hand was off the wheel for a second. By the time he regained control of the car and was coming off Connor, they were both out there. So what started as an intentional, I'm going to open my hands and run this guy wide, turned into a much more dramatic looking incident than it was. A lot of people were comparing it to Santino and Connor in Mid-Ohio, where Santino got a penalty. The difference was Santino's hands didn't come off the wheel. Remember over the crest in turn 5, where Santino drove himself off the curb to push Connor off?
Yeah.
Santino was actively driving out there.
Yep.
In this case, Christian, for a split second, wasn't actually in control of the car. So there wasn't.
So, let me just jump in there because you say like that's the reason he didn't get a penalty because his hands.
I don't know that that's the reason he didn't get a penalty. I'm just assuming.
Right. But IndyCar don't have access to that onboard footage in real time.
Great point. Didn't even think about that.
So like they would have seen the same shots that we did. And this is again, and I think I even said it on the broadcast. I get that that's how the rules have developed, and I'm just so firmly against how the rules are written because it allows like that. So let's say his hands don't come off the wheel. He still was going to push Connor clean off the racetrack, right? And Connor was wheel to wheel, if not frankly a tiny bit ahead. Right. And so it just eliminates good side by side racing. It eliminates guys' abilities to do that in corners like that, and corners like turn 5 at Mid-Ohio, corners like turn 5 at Barber.
Yeah, but James, it's not your job as a driver to create good racing if that is not in your best interest based on how the rule book is written.
That's why I'm saying I said on the broadcast, I don't like how the rule is written. And I hope that's something that we can address maybe in the off season just because of that. So anyway, what it then led to was both guys were super pissed and driving red mist style. Connor did one of the most NASCAR moves I've ever seen in the chicane, just like in between turn 1 and 2, just firing it over the curb and like dooring him. It's the best. It's to take a NASCAR turn. He doored him in turn 2, which I thought was hilarious. Yeah. Because it didn't affect either one of them, and like they stayed in the same position. Like it was so like, was it uncalled for? Yes, but it was also kind of funny in the moment. But then the one into 10, little less funny. How do you see that one?
Probably going to get myself in trouble for saying this. A racing incident?
Yeah, obviously that's how IndyCar looked at it, right?
Yeah. I mean, because here's the thing. There is a rule. Now, the rule in its intent was written. The rule is the overtaking car has the majority of the responsibility to avoid contact. That rule is really set up for if you're diving up the inside of someone, you can't like door them off, right? When you're on the outside, it's much of a rare situation that this would occur. But the view I saw was Christian was like inside of the turn 10 apex. Like there was dust that came up on the turn 10 apex curve. This wasn't a situation where, again, he didn't turn into Connor. Like Connor was making a good move. He did the same thing on Colton around the outside into 10, which would have set him up on the inside of 11. The difference is Christian's not Colton. And we know this. Like Christian, we've seen this year, especially on the ovals, like he don't care. Like he's coming through. He's going to pass you. And his car control and ability to not crash backs it up. And so of all the people that you're going to try and roll the outside of, he ain't that guy in my mind.
So I get everything you're saying, and I agree with everything you're saying. The 2 points that I want to make are Christian has developed a reputation for being very flamboyant in his overtakes, especially on the ovals, and not a guy to back out. And you say that he's pulling it off, and so you can't really argue with it. I'm going to argue that he's pulling it off because other guys are giving him the room, right? Because they know that he's not going to do that. And so they're like, I'm not even going to fight this. I'm going to let it go.
Okay. That's the same thing that Santino gets celebrated for. So
I've never, ever celebrated any driver for that. People used to accuse that same thing of Takuma. It's the same thing.
A lot of people do.
Right. Fine. So, but my point is, he looks like the hero until somebody races him the way he's racing them. and then it ends in an accident. In this case, he got away with it again. But to your point, he's on the inside. Connor's ahead at turn in. And for Christian to have to put wheels on the inside of the turn 10 curb means there's not enough room for him to be there. He needs to back out of it. And that's what Colton did. Colton's like, oh, if I turn in here and try to hold this, I'm going to end up in the dirt on the inside. That's going to push me into the other guy, and that's going to end poorly. So I think it's from the way the rules are written standpoint. I think it's more on Christian for sure. But to your point, Connor needs to be, or any driver, when you're racing any driver, you have to be aware of who they are, how they race, and not put yourself in a position with someone that's not going to race you the way you need to be raced to make that move happen, if that makes sense.
I mean, here let's play scenario for a second. If instead of Christian, it's Joseph, are you gonna say the same thing about Joseph?
And which part? Like, would I be willing to pull that Connor move on Joseph more than I'd be willing to pull it on Christian? Yes.
No.
But do I think Joseph should have backed out if he was Christian? Yes.
But Joseph wouldn't. Joseph is just as aggressive, if not more aggressive, of an overtaker.
Okay, fine. But then you have to know that, right? You have to know what position you're putting yourself in.
But again, I think sometimes guys that haven't won races, haven't shown years of success, aren't driving for top organizations, don't have the pedigree, if you will, are accused a little bit harsher than someone like Joseph. Joseph drives people like an animal on short ovals. Like he's like giving you a wheel in the straight. He'll push you up high before he turns into turn 3 at Iowa. Like he's an animal, right? But he wins all the time. Like look at what he did to his teammate at St. Louis in 2017 with Pagenaud, right?
Yeah,
like,
that was.
But okay, but because it's Joseph Newgarden, 2-time Indy 500 winner, 2-time champion, 30-time race winner, whatever he's done, right? Versus Christian, who is doing the same thing but with none of the resume. It doesn't feel like it's a fair comparison or a fair judgment.
One
is like, oh, this kid has a lot to learn, and the other one's like, man, this guy, he's got balls of steel, and he's a gladiator.
If you go back and listen to our episode after Gateway 2017, what you'll hear me say is, I thought that move was bull that Joseph pulled off on. I criticized Joseph for that move.
You might, but the internet doesn't.
No, right. I'm just making sure we're on the same page of where we're coming from. So then to your other point, that's a very valid point. For sure, a driver that has accomplished more is going to be given more leeway in that stuff, or it's going to be looked at. It's like, oh, well, that's how you drive as a win. That's how a winner drives, whatever. But I'm kind of coming at it from more, if that's what's happening, it's kind of on the field. It's on you guys to not make that differentiation, because I don't hear people after Iowa say, oh man, Joseph drove me really hard. Joseph was this, Joseph was that. But I hear people be like, man, did you see that move Christian did? Like, what was that? So yes, I can only see what I can see from the broadcast, but then getting feedback from the paddock, I'm just saying
I completely disagree with that, because there are a lot of people that have a lot of complaints off of the 2-car, mostly on short ovals, most of the time.
Fair. I just said, in my experience, I haven't heard quite as much of that. Yeah. So, but I think that's a very valid point. I do think that a young driver who hasn't done X, Y, Z, look, people said that about Joseph before he'd ever won a race. Joseph, in his first 2 years, very fast, sometimes very reckless, had some very big accidents, caused some very big problems, right? But developed into Joseph Newgarden. So it's not so much a criticism of what Christian's doing or how he goes racing. It's an understanding of the guy that you're going wheel to wheel with. You cannot race everybody the same, and so.
But that's on Connor, not Christian.
No. That's what I'm saying. Okay. This part is this is the part of response. Right. I think in the mechanics of the accident, Christian is more at fault. I think when you zoom out and you look at the situation in totality, and you take into account what happened in turn 7, and you take into account what happened in turn 2, and you take into account of their seasons together as a whole, and last season and whose team and all that other, that is where Connor's responsibility comes in. Is you have to be aware of the scenario you're in with the driver you're racing and make that decision. Is this a good move or not? And so, look, at the end of the day, I'm just glad he's okay, because that was a big hit.
Huge hit.
Big hit. And the fact that he was like fine, like I think he maybe banged his foot up a little bit or something, but like for that speed, you know, like credit to IndyCars, credit to the track, like that could have been a whole lot worse. Anyway, we're running out of time. Let's talk about the final stint. Will Power, Christian Lundgaard, Alex Palou, all on different fuel levels, different life tires, and ran with a blanket over them for like the last 20 laps. And the pressure that Will was under, keeping those guys behind, managing the traffic in front, having to burn his push to pass lap cars that then immediately pulled out of the way for the other two. Like it was a distinct disadvantage to be leading in some ways, but he held it together and it was a brilliant drive from start to finish and a very well-deserved win.
Could you imagine being Team Penske right now?
I might have to double check this, but I think I might be an executive there now after everything shuffled up.
Yeah.
So maybe that's an unfair question because none of us really have any clue as to what is happening behind the scenes. But let's just say the rumors are ultimately true, right? That Will doesn't really have a spot there next year. Will's looking for a ride, all these sort of things that seem to be the reality that at least the outsider knows or has been privy to. But he is by far, like hands down, your best guy. Not just this year, but like the past couple of years. He has been the benchmark at that team. Like it is, and his frustration and some of his quotes are so warranted. And it's like any driver in the series who, and this is referring to last year, who's won 3 races and had 2 poles and blah, 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 would have a contract. And it's a wild scenario that the reality is he doesn't. That doesn't mean he's not going to have a job next year. Doesn't mean he's not going to have a great job next year. But the point is, it's a very weird kind of situation that has presented itself because it's not, from my understanding, this isn't a scenario where it's like, oh, he's not being re-signed because he's demanding some absurd amount of money. Like this isn't a money sort of holdup that is preventing this. It's purely there's an ideology shift, right? And Will's just not a part of that. And for him to understand that, accept that, and then still perform like he just did is phenomenal to me.
Alex, that is beautifully put. I very much agree with all the sentiment there, and there's a lot to unpack and dig into. And I think there's a lot of good discussion to have about this. So we're not going to do that right now because we are out of time. So we're gonna revisit this topic next week though, because we don't have a race to talk about. So we're going to talk about that. I think we should then also dedicate some time next week to acknowledge the greatness that is Alex Palou as he did wrap up his 4th championship.
Why? We said that was happening in April.
No, I know, but like, let's look back on how he did it a little bit more.
Okay.
Sorry. But yes, that is all for this week. And tune in next week for more of that good stuff and learn all about Alex's fun time on the golf course and all the fun things we're up to on our off week. This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.